Hey everybody, what's going on? Today is a very special day because we're going to be making something that looks like this. Okay, so a couple of things. First and foremost, this whole shadow effect is really cool, and there's a lot of tutorials on how to accomplish this effect. A lot of people have covered Plexus in detail, but here's the deal. This is what we're going to do today. I'm going to focus a lot on this. We're going to create this Plexus object that looks like a virus, and then we're going to have it react to the sound of the music. And then we're going to create this whole stylized look, and we're going to basically go over everything. Also, we're going to go over another effect called the shader effector, and I'm going to tell you how I kind of used it here in subtle ways, because it's the subtle things in art that make things really pop sometimes. Okay, so let's get started. Alright, so I've created this whole thing, and the first thing we're going to make is this virus, this crazy thing. Okay, composition, new composition. I'm going to call this virus. And I chose 1920 by 1080 and choose a new solid layer, new solid. I'm going to call this Plex virus. Now, we are going to add an effect, which is robot Plexus. Okay. Now, nothing shows up. So we're going to have to go to add geometry, primitives. From primitives, we go to cube to sphere. And then we're going to lower the size of the sphere to about 87. Slices 6, stack 6, layers, let's go 13 layers. And you already see this coming to life. Up the radius a bit, up the number of slices to about 15. Now we're going to add some lines. So add render lines. Boom. We've got this object. Now what we're going to do is we can up the radius just a bit and lower. Okay, that's pretty good. This is what we're going to do. We're going to go to transform. We can rotate this on the x-axis. I'm going to bring it towards us a bit, and then we're going to rotate it this way for the whole time, just quite slowly. I'm going to rotate on the z-axis just a bit. Now this is what I'm going to do. Y rotate, alt-click, time times 14. And then that's a pretty good pace for this to be rotating casually. So this virus is pretty, it's pretty cool right now, and it doesn't want any problems. Now, this is what we're going to do. This is the cool part. This is what I want to focus on. I made this track, and if you want it, you could just email me and I'll send it to you, or you can download it from my SoundCloud. And here you go. I'm going to give you a listen. I was kind of going for a sound that would be like, kind of like Grand Theft Auto, but it just turned out to sound like that, like an episode of House or something. So, yeah. Okay. Here's the waveform, and here we see the bass kicks in over here. So, interesting. This is what we want to do. Add effector. There's noise parameter. Now you can increase the noise amplitude, and this thing just kind of starts to shatter into pieces as we do that. So this is what we want. We want this thing to rocket out every time the bass comes into play. So we're going to go to Layer, New, Solid. We're going to call this Sound Keys. This is a plugin by Trapcode. And then we're going to go to Effect, Trapcode, Sound Keys. We're going to bring this layer here in the timeline. We're going to audio layer. We're going to choose the music that I have. And then I'm going to bring the range down here. And we know that the bass kicks in around 10 or so seconds. And we know the highest point is about here. And that highest point, yeah. Okay, so it's over here. Now this is what we're going to do. We're going to have a range. This is the average range of the music, and this is the output. We're going to click Apply. Once we do that, all of these sound waves are converted into keyframes. These are now visual values that we can use instead of like sonic values. So from audio, we've got visual now. Now here's the thing. The output over here, the value is 27. That's quite the peak for this thing, and then it goes back to like 6 or 5, and then it goes back to a value like 20. Okay, so we know around 20, 25, it's really high. This is what we're going to do. This is the important part, guys. We're going to go to noise amplitude in the noise effector. We're going to alt-click this. Whoops. We're going to alt-click this. And then I'm going to write x. I'm going to assign a variable to the noise amplitude. X is equal to noise amplitude. And then we're going to assign another variable. I'm going to call this y. Y is equal to, I want to give y the music. Now this is the noise amplitude, this is the music. So, interesting. If the value of y, which is the value of the music, like how high it's, the value of the music is going really high right now, so I'm going to choose 16.5. Because above 16 it hits like 20, and then I want the bass to kick in. So I want the noise amplitude to be altered. So if y is greater than 16.5, curly bracket, x is equal to y times, let's say 5, semicolon, curly. Then, else, because curly, x is equal to y times, let's say 2, curly bracket. There we go. So now every time the bass kicks in, and it's cool, it's a gradual change, and it looks really nice. So this is basically something I wanted to cover with you guys. So that looks really cool, and you can adjust it however much you want it to happen. I just kind of want it to be very minimal. Okay, so we've got that done. We can shut off the sound keys layer. You've got this thing going on. It looks really cool, and it's dope. This is what we're going to do now. Now we're going to start creating this shadow effect, and then we're going to go into creating this stylized intro. Cool stuff. New composition. I'm going to call this stylish intro. And then layer new solid. I'm going to call this solid virus. Okay. Actually, no, we don't need a solid. We need a text layer. I need a new text. I'm going to call this virus. Look at that. Okay. I'm going to give this layer some weight. I'm gonna give this font some weight. So Proxima Nova is really good, and I'm gonna make this bold and go to the proportional grid, up the size a bit, give this title some good bold presence, and center it out. Cool. Now we're almost done. No, we're actually not done. Okay, effect Plexus. No, Plexus. Nothing happens, so we go to add geometry, we add paths. Now there's a point renderer that's active, so we're going to get some points. Let's add some lines by add renderer lines. Now you got some lines. Cool. Next thing what you're going to do is you're going to go to add effector noise. Now, you want the noise to be applied not so much like that, but towards you. So you're going to choose the z-axis. We're going to up that value. And then as that happens, you see these things like coming right at you. Cool stuff. Now this is what we're going to do. We're going to animate this noise amplitude, and we're going to animate a number of things here to give it a good look. It's all about details. So click on the stopwatch. So let's make sure the noise amplitude stays like this, and then at the base, we'll go back to around the value of 100 or so. So you can kind of see this virus word coming to life, and it's going down and doing this thing. Because at the beginning, we want to have a lot of things going on. We want to have lines show up. We can even add some triangulation, and we have lots of triangulation happening, and then we can just keyframe the triangulation as well. Now we've got two things going on. As the letter forms, we can lower the number of lines, and we can lower the number of triangulation happening. And it just kind of gives it an interesting look. So it's really cool. Also, another thing is the null object, press R, click on the Z rotation, and have it around positive 35 degrees, and then easy ease that. Now all of a sudden you've got this tilt into forming these letters. It looks really cool. White H, or even maybe white try. Maybe do one of, maybe boost the lights a bit. Okay, so it's doing this cool thing. Okay, let's move on. I have a texture. I don't know where I got it from. I really like it a lot. So if you want it, go to my website or send me an email and I'll send it to you. So we're gonna put this texture in the back, and then I'm gonna make this texture a 3D layer. I'm gonna scale it up just a bit. As we are here, this texture disappears. So that's not good. So I guess what I'll do is I'll pull my camera back a bit. Because it's going Z, it's hitting the Z axis like on both sides, like away from the camera and towards the camera. So we'll just take, you know, some of the stuff we're getting in front of it. So we will have this texture moving along with it. Interesting look. Layer new solid. We're going to take a black solid. I'm going to call this vignette. I'm going to add a mask, elliptical. I'm going to invert the mask. I'm going to feather it out by pressing F. And then I'm going to lower the opacity by pressing T. And then, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to go layer, new, adjustment layer. And I'm going to put the adjustment layer below the vignette. I'm going to have curves effect. And I'm going to, you know, give it a bit more. I'm going to cut some of the reds. Actually, add some more reds, yeah. Let's bring it up. And it gives it a more, you know, like something's really going on here. This is a really serious show. It's about a virus, so we gotta be careful. I'm gonna write Black City. A really cool tip on typography is when you have a sans serif font in your title, it's always good to stick to sans serif for some of the other text appearing in your title. So, but give it a different weight. You know, make it light and make it a bit smaller so that virus pops a little bit more. And make it, let's make sure it's kerned right. So as soon as this happens, let's make it 3D, and then basically we're going through it, and then we'll just animate the opacity by pressing T, and we're doing this. Okay, interesting. Because this font is not thin enough, I think I'll just go with Brandon, and I'm going to make it thin. Now here's the cool thing. You can do that, or you can make it light, and a little subtle touch of glow, and you're good to go. Or you can even make it, let's just make it bold, or Black City virus. That's a bit much. We'll just keep it here. And then you can double glow that to make it more, have it pop a bit more. Okay. We've got this title. It looks really cool. It goes from here. And now this is what we're going to do. We're going to make sure that the noise amplitude is animated just right. I'm going to keyframe assistant, easy ease this guy. We're going to right click on both keyframes, go to the graph editor by clicking here. We're going to make a more distinct S-curve. So the animation is like slow, fast, slow. This is what happens. Now, I'm going to cut the lines a bit more, like that. Now this is the cool part. In the original animation, I actually had some particles flying around and just added a bit to it. But here's the thing. What I'm going to do is, because I've got this Plexus layer, I'm going to move it a little bit below. You can just move it down, move this a bit down. We're going to bring that virus we made earlier. So I'm going to take this virus layer. I'm going to copy it. I'm going to paste it over here. I'm going to add a little bit more. I'm going to make it more bluish and grayish. I think that's a lot more cooler.
Okay, so this virus, I'm going to look for it around here. The highest value looks to be over there, and the lowest value seems to be here. Okay, I'm going to click apply. Now, we've got all this music files into, got this music into keyframes now. So now I think it should be okay. Now it should be working. So every time the bass kicks in, this thing goes, string starts dancing. We're going to shut off the sound keys layer. We're going to unsolo the Plexus layer. And we're going to bring this object a little bit towards us. I'm going to transform properties of this object in the primitives object parameter, and then I'm going to bring it to this corner. I'm going to bring it towards us. Being, it's always going to be shaking and moving. And this is where the AE shader effector is going to come in. I have a fractal field ready over here, and this fractal field is just basically doing this. It's animating from white to black, and it looks pretty simple. I'm going to explain to you how this works. There's a tutorial on aescripts.com on how to use this, but I'm going to go over this one more time. Fractal field. There we go. I'm going to go to Layer, New, Solid. I'm going to call this Frac, and I'm going to add this effect called Fractal Noise. I'm going to increase the contrast. I'm going to use, instead of basic, I'm going to go dynamic progressive, or I'm just going to use dynamic progressive, or twist maybe. No, progressive is fine. And then I'm going to go to transform. I'm going to scale this guy up. I'm going to up the contrast just a bit. And then I'm going to go to evolution. Alt click this stopwatch time times maybe 165. And then this thing kind of does this. And it's nice. Maybe I'll make it a little faster, like 232. Okay. So all you've got is this, it's this blob of white and black, and this is a visual, it's like a visual representation of the actual, we want this thing to, it's so hard to explain, but I'm just going to explain it in a way that you'll get it if I just do it. So I have this fractal field. I'm going to layer pre-compose this guy. I'm going to call this fractal field noise. Now I've got this fractal field. I'm going to pull it up, and it's basically just doing this. I'm going to shut it off right now. Now here's the thing. As this happens, as this thing is layer shut off, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to take this Plexus virus. Now, I'm going to choose the sphere radius. The sphere radius, I kind of want it to wobble a bit. And you could choose like a wiggle thing, but you don't have much control over that either. I just kind of like the shader AE Effector because you kind of have this limitation as to what numerical value do you want this range to be in. Do you want it to go up and down? Like I kind of want it to wiggle in that way. So let's do that. I'm gonna choose sphere radius over here. I'm gonna find it in the primitives objects. I'm gonna go sphere radius. The fractal field noise is here. I'm gonna choose this layer over here. And then I'm going to choose, it says set property, sphere radius, it's already there. So I'm going to set property sphere radius, I'm going to click play. Now, if you go back to fractal field noise, now you've got the sphere radius going on. And it's going to go from 0 to 25, meaning 0 is the lowest value.
When a white area shows up in the fractal field, a numerical value goes up, the numerical value in the set parameter goes up, and if the color is black, the numerical value goes down. So that's what's really happening with the sphere radius in here. And now, I'm going to bring this below the adjustment layer. I'm going to add this over here. I'm going to add a bit of a flicker, like 20, maybe 14, 13, 10, 13. Got this look, you're going to make it 3D. So basically it starts... So essentially in this part, all I was doing was adjusting, stylizing, and adjusting the line thickness, the point size, and the triangulation value, the facet renderer value, and also the line renderer value. And as you work those things out, and then you add glow and start glow, you will get to see a good product. And as it moves with the music, it should start looking pretty good. Hey guys, so basically after rendering it out, this is what it looks like. Okay, so a couple things. Before I end this tutorial, I just want to say it is always in the subtle things that is going to make your things pop really well. Like I did use the fractal field here in the AE shader effector and affected the sphere radius so that it just kind of wobbles a bit. Very little, small thing, but it gives it a good feel. The camera is moving back at the same time this intro is happening. And on top of that, make sure when this virus is here, this Plexus object, play around with the line thickness. I made it about 0.67. Play around with the point size as well, and also the glow in the star glow.